Hello again, everyone. A great day for thoroughbred racing here in Hallandale Beach. We're off and running on a Thursday afternoon, a new week beginning at beautiful Gulfstream Park. Jason Blewett, Ron Nicoletti joining you live from our paddock studios on this Thursday edition of Gulfstream Today. A lot going on, Ronnie. 3 dark days in the past, and now we focus in on Saturday's Summit of Speed.
Summit of Speed with our special first race post at 11:55 a.m. and we drew the races yesterday. And are they spectacular and hard to handicap? So you're going to have a lot of fun trying to figure these races out.
Very challenging. I counted 152 entries spread across Saturday's 14 races at Gulfstream Park. We've got firepower earlier in the day. You've got more of the, say, non-traditional Summit of Speed stakes, like the 2-year-old races and the turf sprints. But a bit later on, you've got the Azalea, the Princess Rooney, the Smile Sprint, and, of course, the Carryback, which we're very excited to feature an outstanding group of 3-year-old sprinters led by 3 Rules. And it's just about a year ago when he was a 2-year-old winning the Bird on the Wire last July 2nd down here at Gulfstream Park, tipping his hand that he was a force to be reckoned with. And, of course, Ronnie, he would go on to sweep all of the Florida Sire Stakes.
Won 5 consecutive races, and as you mentioned, also swept the Florida Sire Stakes in 3 Rules back on his home track. Loves it here, and I think he's going to run exceptionally well.
As he reunites with Cornelia Velasquez, her trainer Jose Pinchin, he gets off the rail as well. I don't think things in hindsight worked out so great for 3 Rules on that Preakness undercard and the Chick Lang, not getting off all that alertly from the inside post and having to chase inside over a very wet track on a day you probably wanted to be making outside moves. And 3 Rules should run well, in fact, very well from post number 3, as he is one of the stars, no doubt about it, on Saturday's Summit of Speed card right here at Gulfstream Park. And just a complete rundown as to what you could expect. An earlier than usual post time, as Ronnie noted a few moments ago, of 11:55 a.m. It's a 14-race marathon type Saturday program in which big fields are the norms, and a couple of lucky horses and connections will punch their tickets to the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, they get a win and you're into the Breeders' Cup, and that's exactly what happened years ago with Big Drama. And what did Big Drama do? Won the Breeders' Cup.
A sprint champion in the making at this point, 7 years ago? It's hard to believe. Back in 2010 for trainer David Fox. We have the great memories of Big Drama, David Fox at it once again, running Sweet Tooth Haven in Saturday's 10th race. That really begins the more traditional Summit of Speed stakes portion of the program at Gulfstream Park. He'll have a Sweet Tooth Haven again in the Azalea, assuming the track is dry and fast and the forecast looks terrific. On the warm side, perhaps, but it is South Florida on July 1st, and certainly here in June, it's supposed to be warm and pretty hot. Now, let's give you a little rundown as to what you can also expect with the Friday Beat the Expert. In fact, I'm up next. We miss Acacia. Want to get her back in the mix this coming Thursday. It'll be good to have the 3 of us back together again, but Ronnie and I are holding down the fort this weekend for the Summit of Speed, and I'll try to get off, Ronnie, on a good foot with Friday's Beat the Expert.
Beat the Expert. A couple of weeks ago, last week, I didn't fare that well, but the week before you did a very good job, and no one was able to beat you. So we saved some of the polo shirts that I had to give away last week. So it sort of evened out.
Picks are available at GulfstreamPark.com. In fact, if you want to study up your Friday selections, my Friday selections, not to rush things, are already available on the website. Your Saturday plays, as well as mine, up there as well at GulfstreamPark.com. Definitely worth a look if you haven't done so already. So Beat the Expert here Friday afternoon, a Twilight Friday with that first race post time of 2:15 p.m. You and I will be on the air at about 1:15.
1:15 p.m. and we'll have a 9-race card, and got an interesting horse I'm going to talk about tomorrow in the 9th race. But that's tomorrow. Let's handle today and see what we can offer in them.
You've got 10 interesting horses to talk about, at least 10.
Well, 9 races. 10 races today, 9 races tomorrow.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, well, let's show you what we're doing today. You know what? We're going to start it off with your pick 5, right?
Pick 5 and the Super High 5. Both of those get underway in Thursday's first race. Hard to believe as we go down the stretch. Already June 29th at Gulfstream Park. They'll spring the latch at about 1:15, a little after. Field of 7 with that dollar rolling Super High 5. And then, of course, we build into race number 5 on a 10-race Thursday program. 64K plus in that Rainbow Six.
It's going to start building and building, and they're going to have about $30, $40, $50,000 in it today. So you get a chance maybe to win a cool $100,000 for 20 cents.
Little late 5 action gets underway in race number 6 on the afternoon. 50-cent late pick 5. I'll be giving out pick 5 plays in both the early and the late sequence. And in fact, without further ado, we're fast and firm coming off 3 consecutive dark days. Great day for thoroughbred racing here at Gulfstream Park. And the first pick 5, well, here's how I see it. I like Ralph Zady's horse in the third quite a bit, as will a lot of people. That is Social Roy, who comes back up in class off the claim for that Juggernaut barn as a first-time gelding. I'm going to use the favorite in the first, the likely favorite, the 1 Grand Junior, and a bit of a price in the number 5, Xanto. I had no opinion as far as heads or tails went in the second. I think you want some coverage there. Social Roy, the single in race number 3. I like the speed of Loving Valentina. Maybe she's just a bit better than those, but I also think the 4 Gucci Girl is going to run well today. She's on the play, and then you may, depending upon where you stand with that group of 2-year-olds in the cash-out leg, the 5th, you may want to use only 1 or 2, or in my book, I'm using 4. 2, 3, 6, 7. It's a $24 play. I do think Social Roy will be very tough to beat in race number 3. And without further ado, we'll get into the crew today, Ronnie, in the first race. A 5-furlong, $10,000 3-and-up claimer on the grass. And Grand Junior, the one I think they've got to get around. I know I picked him on top. You've got him on top as well. And the board, 52 minutes out from the opener, is going to change quite drastically between now and then. And let's look at Grand Junior most recently. He is just 1 for his last 18, but that lone victory over his last 18 starts came in his last effort back on June the 15th, where he basically chased and tracked the pace between and was pretty determined putting horses away in deep stretch.
Yeah, he breaks from the rail, steps up to the next logical level. You see there, he's going to see stalked early, he drew clear late, he defeated those 2 lifetime claimers, and driving fashion, I thought he was the one to beat into the opener. I used the 2 Bermuda Triangle in second, who does his best running from a stalking position. If they go up and chase this horse, I think Bermuda Triangle maybe sits a trip behind the speed.
Beneath Cornelia Velasquez from post number 2. You've got a few horses coming out of Bermuda Triangle's last race on May the 19th. I wasn't overly impressed with his effort. Thought he was kind of just a suck-up dead heat second that day behind a next out winner in Blackjack Baby. Xanto, to me, this is a race that is very pivotal for him. He's either way off form or he's going to turn around and run a good one today at a decent price. His last couple off the claim for Marat Sankal have been terrible, but he's a horse that was pretty sharp prior to that claim during the championship meet. 1-5 for me in the first, 1-2 for Mr. Nicoletti. Let's get on to the second. It's 1-1 to start the action and the week at GP. As we start the program on the turf, we head right to the main track for Thursday's second, a 7-furlong, 3-and-up filly mare, $10,000 maiden claiming race, in which I prefer the 1 Planet Rock, who's got some early speed. Maybe this is the right kind of spot for Planet Rock. It won't take a Herculean effort to get it done.
Well, Adios Chic, the one I put on top, the number 7, he's turning back to 7/8 of a mile, hoping the shorter distance helps improve on those trio of third-place finishes go a mile. Owner trainer Andy Williams has Josie Gomez in the saddle, and Josie is known to get him going early, and I think this horse is going to challenge Planet Rock and maybe steal it on the front end. So Adios Chic, I'm going more with a play where I think they're going to run this horse this afternoon. Planet Rock for all the reasons you mentioned.
Adios Chic, 0 for 22.
Today's the day.
Today's the day. You heard it here. 23rd time the charm for Mr. Nicoletti in race number 2. It's that kind of race, though. He's just a major player and figures to make his presence felt from the opening bell. Main track we go for race number 3, a 6-furlong, 3-and-up, $16,000 claiming race, in which, again, I think the 1 Social Roy will be pretty tough to defeat here. I mean, this is a horse I think is a pretty shrewd claim. For whatever the reason, dropping in last time for 12-5 on May 18th. I thought he looked almost unbeatable. Just didn't run that well. Was 4th, narrowly beaten in a Titan blanket finish. Picked up out of that race off a barn I'm not familiar with, and a barn that up through May 18th had not won a race thus far in 2017. You get the 40-plus days between races. I like having that to acclimate to this this juggernaut and high percentage outfit. You've got 40-plus days between the last and the first race off the claim, and I'm just going to take Social Roy on on the bump in class as a first-time gelding as well. I think he looks so good, he almost looks too good in here, in my eyes.
Well, Social Roy on my ticket, but I'm going to try and beat him with the 2 Triumphant Joy, and this one is dropping to the $16,000 level, cutting back to 3/4 of a mile today after following his victory. That was a 30 condition claimer at the distance. Come back, chased the pace, he faded, but that was in the 6.5 furlong, $50,000 Ocala Flame handicap. Gerald Bennett just doing a fantastic job. Carlos Montalvo handling the class relief this afternoon. I think it spotted well. Would I not use the 1? Of course not. So I've got 1-2, you got 2-1. I think those are the logical 2 in this race.
Yeah, they'll be the shortest prices compared to the remainder of the field in this 3-and-up 16K claimer. And Triumphant Joy does get away in the Ocala Flame against a few horses who are running against the likes of 3 Rules, Mo Cash, and Blind Ambition Saturday on that Sumter Speed card in the carryback. Moving on to race number 4. In fact, you'll get your fix in. If you like dirt racing here at Gulfstream Park, there's plenty of it to go around in this opening pick 5 as the 4th race features a field of 6. Very few scratches today. In fact, our first scratch on the program happened to come in race number 4, Ron, the number 6 Overdriven Cat. With her out, you get the half a dozen group of 3-and-up filly mare 6250 claimers at 5.5 furlongs. Loving Valentina picked up most recently via the claim box from Frank Calabrese and trainer Angel Rodriguez on June the 1st. We will backtrack via the spotlight and kind of give you a window dressing, window shopping replay. She tracked the pace, argued the lead, and wound up kicking clear that afternoon at 3-5. Inside post today, how do you see that trip working out for the 1 Loving Valentina?
What I like about this horse, it's similar, I think you get the same trip as last time. I think this horse is a 5-time winner, and that's why I went there. The barn is 3 for 10, 30% with recent claims. Carlos Montalvo, the turn back today to 5.5 furlongs. So you just look at the PPs in this race, and of course, Loving Valentina jumps off the page for me in this spot.
Now, Gucci Girl, can she turn things around? She has been at times very inconsistent. We've got a stat here with trainer John Vincent, who I'm not very familiar with. Happy to see, though, if you're a fan of Gucci Girl, that he's batting above 20% on the year, and boy, oh boy, this stat makes me like her even more.
Yeah, second start after the layup on the dirt in the claiming ranks, as you mentioned, 5 for 15. 33%, 73% in the money with a positive return of investment. So certainly an angle that you want to pay attention to at number 4, Gucci Girl.
She's got a rich name or a pricey name. Let's see if she runs to that name this afternoon beneath Sammy Camacho. And a quick little rundown as far as my bullets are concerned with the number 4, Gucci Girl. She is a little inconsistent. Jekyll and Hyde type mare, I think best describes it. That being said, she's been able to rebound off subpar efforts just like that in the past, and I'm hoping that comes to fruition today. I love the stat you pulled because I saw the same thing as far as this trainer second off the layoff, and perhaps the number 1, Loving Valentina, pulls a taxing trip, having a vie down inside, especially with the number 5 in the mix, who does like to show some speed. Maybe Gucci Girl works out a solid trip to get it done as a mild upsetter in race number 4. Rainbow 6 time. Sounds pretty good. Ron's ticket coming your way. In addition to a whole lot more, take a little time out, little breather here on Gulfstream today, and we'll be back with the remainder of the Thursday card.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve. Give bettors the information they need to win and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Saturday, July 1st. Don't miss the Summit of Speed at Gulfstream Park. A full day of live thoroughbred racing action featuring the Grade 2 Princess Rooney and the Grade 3 Smile Sprint. Both Breeders' Cup win and you're in stakes racing. Over $1 million on the line with a first race of $11.55. Admission and parking are free. The Summit of Speed at Gulfstream Park. Speed thrills. Welcome to your playground, Gulfstream Park.
We're back on this Thursday live edition of Gulfstream Today. Glad to have you with us from our paddock studios, Jason and Ron, as we get tied on and set for another 4-day racing week here at Gulfstream Park that does feature Saturday's 14-race extravaganza, the 2017 Summit of Speed. We'd like to build a bit of a bankroll for Saturday's action, so how goes it as far as your Rainbow Six?
$43.20, and you'll see 2 deep here with 6 and 7, and one of those horses being Two-Timing Girl. My best bet of the afternoon. You see the progression, and I got a single in the last race, which I don't usually do, and that's the number 4 Songgur from the Todd Pletcher barn. I think it's absolutely the one to beat, so I was able to build early and maybe get win it with Pletcher in the last with the number 4.
That horse will be a centerpiece for many in both the Rainbow, late pick 5, and the late 4s as well. Songgur, a big favorite coming your way down the road in Thursday's 10th race. We begin with much more of a scramble in this 5th race. There's guesswork to go around with these 2-year-old filly $16,000 maiden claimers on the dirt at 5 furlongs. Field of 7. You have the 6 Two-Timing Girl, who's already got a race under her belt. 33 by her first time out in a race. She showed some speed. I think even relative to the maiden claiming level, and these are low-level maiden claimers for 2-year-olds at this time of the year at GP, an above-average firster, again, relative to a group like this, will beat the 6 Two-Timing Girl.
I don't think so. Two-Timing Girl is dropping to the 16 level with Lasix added. That's an important part. Duel for the Lead finished 3rd in her $25,000 debut. Really love the connections with trainer Larry Pilati. Want to show your second career start. 2-year-olds in the dirt. Maiden claimers, he's 4 for 13, 31%, 54% in the money with a $4.40 return of investment. And I didn't single here. I went too deep, but Two-Timing Girl to me looks like the one to beat because I respect the connections.
Yeah, connections have one and maybe a leg up on the competition, so to speak, in the seasoning and experience department, and a department that has that early speed. Maybe that proves the key here. Again, I'm looking for a firster to get the better of Two-Timing Girl, and I hope I guess right with the number 2, Chasing Magic. Now, there are a number of first crop freshman stallions in the mix, including Turbo Compressor, Poseidon's Warrior, and Corfu, who's the sire of the number 2, Chasing Magic. The only game Corfu had was to run and gun as a 2-year-old. Todd Pletcher, back when he had him, ran that horse a bunch of times during his juvenile campaign. I think knowing just how precocious and speedy Corfu was at the time, and he was fully aware as time went on and other 2 then 3-year-olds started to mature in that division, that Corfu might just fizzle out, which he did. So I think this horse, lo and behold, has a win early pedigree. Good trainer on his side and trainer David Fox. And I'm going to take the number 2, Chasing Magic, over the 2 outside runners that Ron has 1st and 2nd in his exacta. We move on to the late pick 5, the opening leg on the second half of this Thursday program in the sun at Gulfstream Park. A 7.5 furlong Florida bred, and I do think that's key here. Florida bred, $36,000 maiden special weight for 3-year-olds and up. Little rundown of my late pick 5. You do have a couple of horses who are dropping out against open company races and joining Florida breds. The number 5 Archer Road and the number 3 Dopo Lavaro. And that's those are the 2 I like in this upcoming 6th race. Moving on to the 7th, I think you need coverage there. Again, you've got the benefit of having the big favorite Songgur in race number 10 today as your logical single. I'll use the potential lone speed and classic move, and also the 7 Sanabi. I'm not a big fan of Sir Sebastian in the 8th race today. I think he's going to be overbet. And then the 9th, Nutty Boy, and the outside runner Spurs and Bows, a grudge match. They are separated by maybe a neck or so, I think, in the ability department, and they will square off once again in today's 9th race, and they are must-uses and a $16 play, and I have a feeling they'll be lining up outside the racing office, dropping claim slips on Cerner in for the 16 Gs. But getting back to this group in race number 6, how do you see it, Ron? Again, I prefer Dopo Lavaro, who's coming out of some tougher open races, mainly his most recent start when he just had no chance with that very slow pace on May the 6th.
Yeah, he was second beaten a length against state-bred special weight competition back on April 22nd. Back against Florida breds today, finishing 5th. That was against older horses. It was an open special weight test on May 6th. I thought if that performance got my top selection in here, and I used the 6er you had in 3rd. Seconds over Tokyo, was expected to show more track the pace, and finished 4th in his 1-mile career debut back during May. I want to show you a stat on trainer Mark Cassie. Second career start, roots, maiden special weight on the turf. So I put it, keyed it 17 for 75, a big sampling, 23% win average, 41% in the money, and amazingly, a positive return of investment of $2.16.
And that horse, the number 6, Seconds Over Tokyo, by the way, has C.J. McMahon. You do get a major rider upgrade with all due respect and peace and love from the jock named on this colt by Lawal de Sonamo. And I think he ran pretty well first time out. I don't like the field. I think that was a pretty soft crew in that Florida-bred maiden race, May 18th. That's the one detracting statement I have to make about Seconds Over Tokyo. But as far as a horse who basically was chasing 3 wide throughout and seemed to stay on fairly gamely and stubbornly, that just strikes me as the kind of building block effort where he's going to give you a much better just account of himself today in the 6th race against the 3 and 5, who I like, again, dropping in against Florida breds. Down the road we go with race number 7, a 6.5 furlong, 3-and-up filly mare, $12,500 maiden claimer in the 7th race. Miss Contessa was a guess of mine after chasing a 1-5 favorite most recently in Dressed in Heels, who wired the field in the slop on June the 2nd. In fact, this is the first time Miss Contessa since early March has gotten to run and compete on a day where the sun is out and the track is dry. She gets a tepid nod in my book in a race I really struggled with. I had no strong opinion here.
No stronger opinion in here either for me. I have Miss Contessa. I have in second. We have, I think I flip-flop our exacta. I went with the 6 Mighty Mini, who's dropping to the 12 level on the main track. First outing since showing speed and fading late. That was a pair of route races on the turf. Gerald Bennett really solid with the turf to dirt move. Bats about 25%. Edgar Zayas at the helm. And I just thought these two were the logical two in here. And I used the one Karembe in third, who's stretching out that additional half furlong after following her maiden breaker with a late closing second, going 3/4 of a mile last out. She's like a suck-up horse that I'm going to throw on the ticket.
As trainer Antonio Sano gears up for his Summit of Speed, he's got a smattering of horses throughout the Saturday card. Noted as well, he had a breeze with Gunnevera, his first since the Preakness here last weekend, and it looks like a Saratoga summer campaign for Gunnevera is in the cards as that horse looks to get back on track. Certainly nice to see him on the work tab again, and we'll move on to race number 8 in the meantime. 7.5 furlongs with this 3-year-old, $35,000 optional claiming race. Quite a bit going on. Now, we did lose the 5 Mr. French. The scratch of that horse, I think, takes out a legit contender who was very dangerous for trainer Jonathan Thomas. With him out, you're probably looking at an even shorter price on the 3 horses that Ron's got first, second, and third, and the same 3 that I have first, second, and third in a tri-box for Ronnie and I. Sir Sebastian, to be fair, is probably the starting point. I'm a bit worried that maybe his form is starting to go this way, but clearly the good Sir Sebastian, the one that we saw throughout the championship meet, is probably going to win this race.
Dropping to the 35 level in the trio of ambitious outings, I thought, since defeating 25 optional claimers back on March 16th. He was 5th in the $100,000 Cutler Bay, and 6th in the 75 English Channel, and 4th in the 75 optional claimer. This is the spot where this horse is supposed to win, but I can understand going with the one classic move.
I just don't think, looking at the English Channel and even what was in that 3-year-old restricted May 28th race, that optional claimer on the turf, Save Blind Ambition, who I think is pretty good. I just think you're potentially running against a couple of horses who are headed this way, where Sir Sebastian, and it's not like he's been running against older horses. I think his last couple leave a lot to be desired. Just my opinion there. Now, Sanavi, boy, oh boy, did this horse look kind of weird, but also good at the same time when he broke his maiden first time out on June the 7th. Although this is a turf race and he won first time out in a rained off the turf dirt race, we're going to show it to you from the half-mile pole. Tyler Gaffleone's athleticism comes into play here when you watch the fact that Tyler had this horse in basically a full-out drive from around the 5/8 pole to the finish line, and at no point, even now, does it look like Sanavi might get up to defeat Arpinella, who's just cruising on the front end beneath Abby Medina. But you watch Sanavi grind away and plot away. Eventually he gets his feet beneath him, and I'm wondering, with the fact that he was pretty good first time out in a race. Maybe he really had no idea what he was doing down the backstretch and then finally got his game and his feet beneath him. Maybe if that bodes well for him today, getting to a surface that he was originally meant for.
The only problem I had with him, and certainly off this performance, what a great ride by Tyler Gaffalione, is that they started this horse for a $35,000 tag. So it's coming with some, you know, they think there's, you know, he's not as good as they might think he is, and that's why he started for $35,000. But I think if he takes to the turf and can do that again, he can win it in there. And it is Todd Pletcher.
Doesn't return for a tag. Maybe surprised the Connections as well. Wouldn't be the first time Connections were surprised. Ran a horse for a cheap price first time out. Horse ran well. Bump it up in class, and the rest is history. Quick pop to the One Classic move, who's got a number of things going on, and we'll give you the Bluets Bullets breakdown on the One Classic move. I love the way Luca Panici has been riding, especially on the turf. He is riding at the top of his game. Now, this horse may have to rate off a good try for trainer Lisa Lewis back on May the 29th, considering you've got Maps and Legends in the mix, and maybe the number 2, I Got Your 6. But I like the One Classic move, the forward move that he took last time. Maybe he's a horse that they were pretty shrewd, kind of finding a diamond in the rough. I would imagine he didn't go for that much money privately when purchased off Shug in the Phipps stable, and I like Classic move to be ahead of both the 7 and the 8 in today's 8th race. We'll get on to the 9th, Ronnie, as we go down the stretch, and in fact, the late double begins with our final dirt race on the card, a 3-and-up 6250 claimer, and a good crew here. Number of familiar rivals, and I do see Nutty Boy and the outside runner Spurs and Bows are the 2 I like the most. You'll try to shake things up with the 3, My Johnny Be Good, who I took a long look at. It's a nice little rivalry going with these 6250 claimers. I know they're running for the bottom, but they do entertain us, and they hit pretty hard, and for that, they get a tip of the cap as we show you Nutty Boy and Spurs and Bows from their last effort together on June the 3rd. Great job, boys, highlighting the number 2 in the circle down inside. That is Spurs and Bows. Nutty Boy easy to see in the red cap, about 4 or 5 wide. This was really, Ronnie, I think an atypical trip and win for Spurs and Bows over an extremely sloppy track. As you usually see sloppy track races kind of dominated with horses moving to the outside. Very good ride from Ramsey Zimmerman, who was aboard the number 2 Spurs and Bows. And again, there's just not much separating the 6 Nutty Boy and Spurs and Bows here. I took Nutty Boy, though, just because it seems like Antonio Sano's horses, they run often. The more they run, the better they are.
They get, I guess they improve, and they doesn't have the proverbial screws tightened, you know, right away, and they run better as they progress along. But I did try and beat those 2, and you made great points with them, with Johnny Be Good, who's been claimed in 4 consecutive races. Popular 5-year-old stretches out to 3/4 after his recent 2-race win streak was finished, stopped when he was finished 3rd, going 5.5. The new Connections keep the status quo. They got Nicky Figueroa, and I just thought this horse was the logical horse to sit a good trip on the fast track. That other race you just saw on the sloppy conditions, I want to see something else on the fast track between those 2.
It's a Johnny and a Joey, as you have My Johnny Be Good, likely showing speed, and the 5 Dreaming of Joey. Maybe 2 keys early on and 2 horses that definitely have a chance if Nutty Boy and Spurs and Bows don't show up with their typical A effort. And just want to add, I think the wrong trip most recently, going 5.5 for My Johnny Be Good. I think he's a much better horse when he can have his hooves rattling on the dirt, basically on the point and vying for the lead. Moving on to the 10th here, we'll wrap up the card, and maybe not a lot needs to be said. We don't know. They don't pay out races off paper, but if they did, and if this 10th race off paper translates to the turf course about a 1/16 of a mile from where we're sitting, Songer is just too fast and too good for these. But hands down, and we'll look at his last start on May the 29th, where he was more of a grinding, plodding type closer. As we pick it up, he's got the white cap for Gaffalione and Pletcher. Took him a while to finally get his groove on, but once he did, he finished up fast in this race. It is a case, though, and again, it is in sort of neon, bold, capital letters. The Claim Me sign is on and out in full force. They are hoping to lose this horse today, I think.
They are trying to lose this horse. You would think that the claim box, as you mentioned earlier, would be very full. He's facing these 16 condition claimers. He followed the 20 maiden victory here in March with a 6-wide 35 optional claiming score that you just saw. Simple handicapping logic points this one up to beat, but we've seen this in the past where it looks too good to be true.
If it's a shaky drop, who do you like to upset? The number 4 Songer.
I like Lost for Words, who listed as a gelding. This is a son of Insummation. He steps up, he stretches out, posted back-to-back victories against cheaper, going 5 furlongs. He's an improving gelding. He'll be prominently placed throughout. And you saw that horse that we just showed you, Songer, coming from off the pace. This one's going to be on the engine and might steal it in the nightcap. I don't even know what the odds are on this
No,
one.
I don't know either.
Yeah,
but I will add, if you want to beat a heavy favorite, most times it pays to be in front of them. It is only an 8-horse field to wrap up the car, but again, Songer does leave himself with quite a bit to do. Maybe that'll be his undoing today, but he certainly figures to be a horse that A, gets claimed, and B, likely wins at a very short price. A short price, in fact, you can bank this. Ronnie and I will be with you all day from our paddock studios adjacent to the walking ring at Gulfstream Park, and you can also bank on track announcer Pete Aiello, one of the best in the business, coming up next with your Thursday Scratches and Changes.